So I decided rather than fixing this flat tire, it's time just to pull the axle out of this old Ford Explorer and swap it into my 88 Ranger. So the first step here is basically just getting this thing up into the air and seeing what we're working with. So this is a 97 Ford Explorer, and it's got the Ford 8.8-inch rear axle that is a pretty common swap into the Ranger that I have. So I've never done anything like this before, so let's figure it out. Goodbye, flat tire. So the goal for today is just to get the axle out nice and cleanly. Then in a future video, I'm gonna go through the whole thing and figure out what I need to replace or just freshen up. I can already tell, boy, these rotors are looking quite long in the tooth. Before I go ahead and support the axle with jack stands, I'm gonna disconnect or unbolt pretty much everything else other than the leaf springs. So fingers crossed, let's get to it. Come on. Success. One little trick that helps me out a lot that I really like is actually putting all of the hardware back into the place where it originally goes, so that way I know right where it goes. As I'm under here loosening things and getting everything off, I figured it's probably worth explaining why these Ford 8.8-inch rear ends are such a popular swap onto the Rangers and some other vehicles. Realistically, there's a few big reasons, right? Number one, it's just a much beefier, stronger axle. It also has 31 spline axle shafts, which is great. And then the third and biggest final reason is that it already has disc brakes compared to drum brakes that are on the Ranger now. So big upgrades all the way around. All right. Okay, so we are officially at the point here where we're ready to go get the jack stands to support the axle underneath. As you can tell, we're losing a little bit of light here. It's about 7 o'clock at night here, so I've got some lights here. My new KC under the hood light. So that thing works really well to light up the area. It's magnetic. So anyway, so yeah, we're getting to it here. Working in the dark, but I found the adapter to get the 13 mil socket to work here. So we got our lights on, and we're just gonna buzz off this bracket here, and then maybe potentially call it done for the night. We got that sway bar and all those brackets pulled off, so those are sitting over here in the ground. Now it's time to pack the truck up, head home for the night, back at it tomorrow. All right, day 2. I had to shut it down last night. It was just getting too dark to work on this thing and too dark to film. And stupidly, while I was cleaning up, I caught a leaf spring right there on the corner of the eye. So that was fun. But that being said, we're gonna pick up right where we left off, and this axle is coming out tonight. So the next thing we're gonna try and do is get this line off right here. There we go. The whole thing kind of eventually pulls itself right out. There we go. E-brake disconnected. Woo! All right, e-brake disconnected. We're good to go. We are good to move on to getting the leaf springs out, U-bolts underneath to drop the axle. All right, we have got one side of the U-bolts off. Boy, am I glad that this is an Arizona rust-free vehicle. That was easy. Yeah, of course I did use a little bit of penetrating spray beforehand, but that was quick and easy. Other side, we're there. Nice. We'll get that side. Not worried about that. All right. All right. There we go. Okay. Good stuff. There we are. Okay, so now theoretically this axle is pretty much just floating. So what we need to do in order to get it drug out of here is take the leaf springs off on the rear shackles on both sides up here. So that way we can drop those and then just kind of wheel, hopefully on the jack, the axle all the way back and out from underneath the vehicle. Okay, what we're gonna try and do here, got a long piece of wood. I'm just gonna try and leverage this thing up with one hand, and then there we go. All right, we're just gonna risk this here. Safety squints on. Woohoo! The plan worked. Let's go. Okay, cool. Now, ready to hammer this thing out of the way again and drop a leaf spring, hopefully hold an axle up. So let's see how she does. Nice, okay. Front end of that axle rotated a little bit, but for the most part, she's free, baby. She's good to go. All right, so we did it. That axle is completely free from underneath the vehicle. It's ready to be pulled out and go into the garage so we can do a complete tear down and a refresh on it. So that being said, we learned one step at a time. We got a black eye. It is what it is. It's all part of the learning process. So thank you all for tuning in. In the next video, we're gonna be tearing this thing down, like I said, doing a whole refresh on it. So stay tuned for that one. See you later.